Okay, back again for my ongoing review of Mortal Kombat Legacy, the web series from Machinima. We're on episode 4 now, Katana and Melina, and we certainly have seen, okay, they're going back to the mystical, magical stuff, but I'm having some negative feelings now for this series, uh, which I'll explain in a second. But the first thing I have to say about this episode is half of it is animation. It's yeah, it's like they realized what they wrote was like, oh wow, we do not have a budget at all. Uh, we'll just draw pictures. We'll make it. We'll do like Kill Bill did, and we'll just have a scene where it's like all anime and stuff. Except they don't also have the budget to afford actual budget animation, so it's really simple animation. I'll put up on a screen here for you, which I probably have to do for a few things, but here on the screen you can see this is like the animation style, and the movements are very simple. It's not fluid movement, it's very much, how should I describe it? I wish I had video capture, but I currently don't. It's like very stick animation, if that's the correct terminology. Watch the episode. You'll understand. But it's like I almost can envision how this was happening. You're like, oh man, we don't want to cut this stuff out of the series, but man, we don't have the budget. Somebody goes up, hey, what if we try to be classy like Kill Bill and a couple other films who have mixed in anime and animation and scenes of their movies, and we do all this big scale stuff, and there's a lot of it's also really gory stuff, like the stuff they couldn't have, like, oh man, that would take a lot for us to think up. We'll just do it in animation. It'll seem like, it'll seem stylistic, but it'll be cheaper. And then they get like the estimates back for how much the animation studio would charge. You're like, oh wow. Can we do like really simple stuff? And that looks like, I can almost guarantee you in the planning process that's what happened on this. I mean, this thing is really being done on a shoestring budget. I had one person who asked me last episode what I think this is a Hollywood cash machine, and I was like, no, because if it was a Hollywood cash machine, they'd throw a little bit more money at this thing. There's only two reasons why this series is getting made. One, it was basically pitched at, I think, at the corporate level as an advertisement for Mortal Kombat 9. That's why they released it at the same time. The other was that they got a huge fan response from the leaked trailer, Mortal Kombat Rebirth. There was this massive response, like the fans were going, "This is awesome! You have to make this." But I'll get into some of the other problems. So we have that, and it does kind of detract because we want to watch this as live action. That is the appeal. If you wanted to do an animated Mortal Kombat movie, actually at this point I would actually just say, just watch the animated scenes or the cut scenes from the last Mortal Kombat game, because really it was actually a well written script and decent CGI animation video game, so I can't really complain that it's CGI animation. I guess that's not too much of a problem, especially if this is the only episode where they do that. We'll have to see later on. But I will point out, if this is the only episode where they have this animation, this series is becoming extremely jittery with how they do every episode. Because we had the first one, which was very traditional kind of style of live action. Probably actually the first two episodes are still probably the best of the series so far. But then they had the Johnny Cage episode, which was kind of quirky, flashing back here and there, kind of trying to get the Hollywood feel of, what's real is it the kind of over-the-top television show, and now in this one they're mixing in the animation, and it's very Lord of the Rings. I almost feel like this is Lord of the Mortal Kombat. But yeah, basically, for those of you who didn't watch it, go watch it. It's only a few minutes long. It is luckily not a 5-minute long episode, but we basically just get the backstory of Katana. Literally, it's being told as a backstory from, I'm assuming it's Katana's perspective. where it's the basic black backstory from the games and from every other incarnation. There's a few changes here or there. And of course, we have Mileena. It says it's Kitana Mileena, but Mileena's really only mentioned a little bit, and we only see a little bit of her. Really, we literally only see a little bit of her because the rest of it is, the times we see her, is animation because I guess they didn't want to do the prosthetics for when she rips a guy apart when she learns of her Tarkanan heritage. Which, speaking of the Tarkanans, now this was already on the internet, but yeah, I'll put it up here. Here's Baraka, and there's like one other katana. Like they made two of these costumes, and that's what I was saying. Why they we're doing the animations for seeing okay, Shao Kahn's invading, and he has an army of Tarkanans. Sir, we can only afford to do two of these costumes. Oh. Like seriously, the max amount of people you ever see on screen is like 3. Maybe 4 if we count the baby. Little baby katana. But yeah, that's it. I could complain. I guess I can't complain too much on Baraka's look. I mean, he's basically an orc. Except we kind of have a very distinct look for how Baraka or Tarkanans are supposed to look. They really just have the giant mouths, and I hate to say it, but it wouldn't have taken that much harder to fix up the costumes that they used in Mortal Kombat Annihilation, not use the same costumes, because, yeah, this is still better than what was in that movie, but still, you could kind of see where we all know, we can know how they're supposed to look. You know, I know you're supposed to be doing a more realistic, but you're basically doing an orc character. And I actually have a feeling that the more traditional Baraka look would look a little bit more realistic. I'm not going to complain over it. I mean, and this is not the best of costuming jobs, no, but I can't demand more. It's a web series. I don't know what the budget is on these things, but I'm guessing for every episode there's only a few $1,000s to actually put these things together. I would not be surprised if it was under $100,000 an episode, if that. I don't even think it was probably that. It's probably it's probably in the tens of thousands to produce one of these episodes. So I can't demand that much. Yeah, you get what you pay for, and we're watching this for free on YouTube. What else? Oh, yeah. This is probably the thing that made me just go when I saw this. It was this guy. Yeah, this guy. Can you guess who he is? I guess if you've seen the episode, hey, you unfortunately know. But yeah. This is supposed to be Shao Khan. Yeah. This guy is supposed to be this guy. Seriously, you couldn't put, and this isn't like this one scene that I took a still shot of. No, he's like this the entire movie. And if you don't get what I'm talking about, he doesn't have the skull helmet. The one defining characteristic of that character is he wears the freaking skull helmet. Even in Annihilation, they had him wear a skull helmet for a few scenes. But no, not here. I mean, Annihilation, he wound up taking it, he only wore it for the first half of the movie. But at least then, they had Brian Thompson playing him. They had a big name, okay, maybe not a big name, but they had a genre actor who had some recognition. It's Brian Thompson. It's the friggin' alien bounty hunter from X-Files. It's the Night Stalker from Cobra. It's that punk that Schwarzenegger beat up in the opening of Terminator. People will recognize it. I can see why he would show his face a little bit, even though he should have stuck the helmet on. At least they had the helmet in Annihilation. They're just showing this guy as this, with this the face, and not even trying to do deep, sinister voice. It's just a regular voice. It's she will despise me when she grows and learns of me. When she's talking about Katana, it's I mean, he's wearing, and I like his outfit too. There, It's very dungeon siege, and that would have been probably a good little joke I was going to make, except when I checked the IMDb, this actor is actually going to be appearing in The Name of the King 2. Wait a minute, what's this? Guido Superstar, The Rise of the Guido? Oh, great. If I can't get away from the Jersey Shore enough, being that I live at the Jersey Shore, it's now invading my goddamn Mortal Kombat. I'm not having too much positive stuff from this. If I want to say one thing, just to prove I'm not a complete nitpicker and I'm going to point out everything that's bad, and I do like so far the guy they got to play Shang Tsung, this guy. He looks the part, he looks fucking evil. We haven't seen him act that much, but still, from what I've seen, he's just kind of, I'm evil. Pretty much. But that's all I need from Shang Tsung. They can do him. Why did they mess up on Shao Khan? He's one of the best video game villains of all time, and they fuck him up with this guy. Not having a good time here. Overall, it's the way that this series has been kind of bouncing around in its styles. I'm not sure if this is a warning or if it's going to be fixed next episode. Like, this is just they're trying all these different styles out and seeing what's gonna work. I mean, it looks there wasn't even that much fighting. Like, there was literally like 3 seconds where Baraka kills like a couple of random guards, and I think they stabbed a fake King of Edenia. So that's the extent, and we saw about to fight. There was a couple of scenes like in the really bad animation that was like people's heads getting cut off. Melina like ripping into a guy when she's like 13, just like turning all like fucking vampire-ish and just going yum nums. But it was the bad animation. And then we saw what was about to be the start of a fight between the two. It does seem like we're getting a very slow start to this thing, though. I was hoping that we'd get right more into the actual plot. I knew it was going to be a Katana and Melina story, but I thought we were going to see kind of the beginnings of the tournament from their perspective. I mean, I know they want to introduce all the characters, but this is a web series. Therefore, the people that are going to be watching this series are people that are familiar with the franchise. Therefore, you really don't have to overly, you don't have to give everybody their own episode to explain where they're standing. You can kind of move along with the plot. Oh, I almost forgot about this. The narration. It is, like I said, it was told in complete narration, but I did catch this. When they first talked about Queen Sindel, she called her Queen Sindil. Like, Queen Sindil. How do you mess that up? And it's like the only time. It's like they caught her that first time and had her correct it, but then didn't go back and redo that line. It's like they pointed out, hey, it's pronounced Sindel, not Sindil. Oh, okay. Well, let's continue reading. That's fine. We don't have to redo that. We don't have to redo that line. It won't take 5 seconds for you just to re-say the line and continue on. Yeah, so my expectations have dropped a little bit. I mean, I used a Dungeon Siege analogy before, but it does have that Dungeon Siege feel. But then again, maybe there's still hope. Maybe I'm just an optimist in that case. But maybe there is still hope. Just because the style of each of these episodes, or I guess each of these little like sections, have been so different, it might pick up. Hopefully we'll get to see a good fight next time. Like, in that respect, this episode was also very... Despite this stuff was like happening, we didn't see any live action fights, and that's the draw of this. We don't want to see poorly animated stuff because, let's face it, we have a video game, we can just go and play for that. We want to see live action, people actually doing the fighting. So let's hope we see some better stuff. That is it for this week. Hopefully, stay tuned for later in the week. I should be going to see Thor. The question is whether I will probably then on Friday at some time post up an interview, and I might actually have a special guest host for my Thor review if we can set everything up correctly. But maybe not. Who knows? People have schedules. Alright, signing off for now. See you guys later.